But Age of Mythology Retold, man. Let's talk about Age of Mythology. Before we do, David, do you have any history with Age of Mythology?
I do not.
You do not?
None whatsoever.
We will see you in about an hour. All right, Frankie. Age of Mythology Retold. First off, tell me, did you play the original? You did? Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. How much? Like,
Lots.
tell me what your experience of that original is. Like the computer it was on, where you were at in life.
So I had a friend back in the day. I'd go to his house like every weekend for 3/4 of the summer. And I remember his parents bought like a really expensive like Dell XPS back in the day. It was blue. Like it was like probably like $2,500, $3,000, like back in the early 2000s, right? Like this thing was a beast. And I remember bringing over, I think I had Command and Conquer and Total Annihilation, some other RTS games. And this was really before Steam. I think Steam was out during like my high school years, but it just wasn't popularized yet or right about that era.
Yeah. Like it was just forming together, yeah.
And so I had a lot of physical discs, and I don't remember which one of us got it first, but it was one of those games that you could play online. You know, you had to title your thing, then you have to lock your server with a password, and then you're like, oh yeah, my game's called this. Here's the password. Back in the day. And I know some games still do it that way, but like, especially if you're on PC. But man, I love
so good.
Rise of Nations, Age of Mythology, like the big, huge studios type games, Ensemble. This is all really, really good games. But Age of Mythology, I really liked. I liked being the Norse gods in Kronos. If you can get far enough, you can lock him, and he just is hurling magma.
Yep. Oh man, yeah. My history with this game is I grew up playing it. Like this was the game I spent like thousands and thousands of hours playing on just the old office computer we had. I think it was like an HP something. And this was like I think the game came out in like 01, and we got it in like 02 or 02 or something like that. And I think like Angela or Thad got it. And yeah, they got it, and we played it on, I think, Thad's computer first, and then the office computer. And we just, I'm talking countless hours into this game. And we had no internet. Like, we had dial-up, I think, at one point, but we didn't play online at all. So it was all the single-player campaign and just the random maps. And
skirmishes. Skirmishes are your best friend.
Skirmishes, yeah. It's just, God, I poured so many. And even when I was so little that I didn't know how to like use the mouse correctly. So they would put me in the editor mode. Like Adley and Chelsea are like, oh, just go to the editor mode. And I'd go to the editor mode, and it's just placing units on the map. And I would just place as many units as I could.
They literally did to you what I did to my little brothers.
Yeah.
Here's a controller, but it's not plugged in.
Yeah, yep. They're like, it's not complicated. It's way too complicated for you. So here's the editor.
Right.
And then I figured out how to change to make enemies in the editor. So I found out that menu is right there, and I can click player 1 to player 2 and then have them fight. And I'm like, whoa, this is so amazing. So I think I was like 5 years old when this all, I was like 5 or 6 years old. And I'm like, this is amazing. And then as I grew up, it was always there. Like it was a recurring thing. Like it was always on the computer, and the disc was always there, and we kept it for years. And it was just a beautiful thing, and it was amazing. And when I heard 2 years ago that they were remaking it or remastering or whatever have you, I was like freaking pumped. I was like so out of my mind. And I was like, this could be bad. This could be really bad. This is like the team that have remastered and remade all the Age of Empire games throughout the years and developed Age of Empire 4. So they have good pedigree. They know what they're doing. But I'm like, there's a chance. There's a chance it could be bad. I don't know. I'm not getting my hopes up. I saw the first trailer of this year, and I was like, oh my God, it's coming out in September. No way. And I see how it looks, and I'm like, this looks amazing. And then as we get closer and closer, I hear that the early access comes out, and I'm like, I'm going to wait. I'm not going to do the early access. And everybody's like, dude, legit. This is like reliving your childhood, man. Like, this is awesome. And I was like, okay, I'm getting a little hyped. Now. And then by release date, all the reviews are in from early access and it's all positive, mostly positive. And I'm like, okay, I'm down. And so I buy it and I think I got it for like 25 somewhere on a website. And then I bought the soundtrack on Steam. And the remastered soundtrack, let me just say, ooh. First off, the original soundtrack, one of the greatest video game soundtracks ever. So good, so like great background music and just amazing. Love, like same with the Age of Empire games. The soundtrack is awesome. And then so you're curious about like how are they going to remake it? And they do. And they take a little liberty, but they basically stuck to the same formula. Yeah, and just left it as is.
It's pretty true to the original game. Then they added a
was it the
god?
Extra God? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, not Heimdall, but it was,
yeah.
I can't remember what, Freyr or something. Or
yeah.
whatever, yeah. And I didn't buy the guy, but I hear it's just another god and it's kind of just another Norse fella. So, just interesting.
Totally bought it.
You did? Oh, nice.
Yeah. I have no idea who it is. I remember picking him when I played my first skirmish with it, but yeah, I couldn't tell you who it was. I do love them. I grew up in the era when RTS was big. And so, like, not just Age of Mythology hits home. It's, you know,
it's a culmination of
Rise
all
of
them.
Nations, Command and Conquer. Empire Earth was totally an outlier, and it was so weird and cool at the same time, and it was clunky but good. Yeah. RTS games, man, they're my jam, and it's kind of sad because nobody else really wants to play them.
Yeah.
And so, like, you can only do skirmishes for so long.
Yeah.
And when you've played them enough and you are really good against computer on hard, it's just not fun. So, like Supreme Commander is not fair.
No.
Above medium AI.
I don't think the AI is fair above hard at all. Like, it's ridiculous, even on hard.
Easy is a challenge. Medium's relatively hard. Anything above that is insane.
It's ridiculous.
But it is a good game, and I think that's why. If you haven't played Planetary Annihilations,
I'm not. No,
I think it's based kind of on the same premise and universe as Total Annihilation, but it's built more like Supreme Commander, and it's just literally you can pick solar systems, and then like, depending on the system that you pick, you can start on like one planet out of the whole system, or they have multiple starting points. But then there's like moons and stuff. There's literal orbits, and you have to use an orbital launcher to send troops from one planet and land on another moon.
What's his name called? Planetary
Annihilation.
Really?
I was playing with two of my friends, and I was playing with Richie, and I was playing with our old roommate Doug. And Doug ended up on another planet. Me and Richard were kind of battling it out. And he was like, dude, I'm going to mess you up. And I was like, yeah, right. And he was like, oh, this guy over here is like totally, he's like, Doug was like, yeah, I'm going to build this Titan weapon, right? And it's literally a planetary thruster. He's, I wonder what you can do with it.
No.
So he's sitting there. Me and Richard are fighting. And I can see this because I'm zoomed out enough. You can see a planet in the background. I was like, oh, that's cool. There's a giant thruster on that planet. And next thing I know is I get a game over because he blew up my commander on the planet that we both started on. I was so mad and I was laughing at the same time. It was one of those things like, what other type of game could you have done something similar to that?
Yeah.
Right? Like
this game looks cool. It's a little, it's independent. 2015 came out. Dude, this looks cool. I wish list this bad boy.
Yeah, it is a really fun game, and it's been on sale a few times. And I know that the original one isn't available anymore, but the one with the expansion is
it says Titans or something.
Yeah, Titans. That's it. Yeah,
that's cool. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, I think put about 11 hours in Age of Mythology Retold, and I'm only halfway through the campaign. Like, I'm just strictly playing the campaign just to start out, and I am very impressed with the amount of faithfulness they've had with the, like, just translating everything over.
Right.
And like even the physics and everything like that. But they've done little things that are really awesome. Like the Colossi is no longer 5 population; it's only 4. And like just little itty bitty things that are really nitpicky. Only stuff like people like me would care about. Like it's like you don't really, it doesn't really need to pay attention to it. But they're little micro improvements that are like quality of life improvements for me. And like and it's really really. It's just really beautiful, and I love playing it, and it's really cool, and I haven't had a chance to play it in a while, but I'm so impressed to see how they've done this. I'm so impressed with what they've done, and I cannot wait to see what they do next. Like, they say they're working on bringing the Chinese gods over from that one expansion that they made for the extended edition.
Yes.
And they released a little trailer.
That is a newer expansion, too.
I'm worried because I wasn't really impressed with that. It was kind of like janky and kind of reskinned a lot of things.
I don't think
when I played like skirmishes.
I'm pretty sure I had it and I didn't play it yet.
Yeah, and I played a little bit of it, and I'm like, ooh, this isn't that good. But because that's going to be their first expansion they do, and then there's a second one. I'm really intrigued to see if they're going to do like Babylonian, or if you go to the Age of Mythology extended edition on Steam, there's a big mod for I think it changes the Norse gods to South American and Aztec mythology.
Well, that's
and it's
cool.
like, it's really interesting. It has a whole campaign and everything. And so I wonder if they're going to go that route.
Could play, like, was it Quetzalcoatl?
Yeah, Quetzalcoatls, yeah, or whatever, yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, it'd be cool. And then your Babylonian mythology, even, like, there's a lot of avenues they could go. So I gotta say, Forgotten Empires, World's Edge, and a couple other studios worked on this, and they did a great job. And they have great controller support. Have you tried the controller support at all?
I have not, but I'm gonna be a purist. Okay,
Yeah.
you know, PC supremacy type deal is mouse and keyboard on it.
Oh yeah, I agree with you, 100%.
Okay.
And I'm only playing with mouse and keyboard.
Okay.
I'm getting them arrow keys.
Because we were gonna have some words after.
The mics were off. You're good. No, you're good.
If you were like, play RTS with the controller, I'm gonna throw your Xbox at your head.
Well, I can't. Well, imagine when Microsoft eventually brings like StarCraft to Game Pass. Is it going to be console as well? Because I want them to do that for controller. Because I don't think it's going to be a great way to play it, but it's doable.
StarCraft 2 isn't coming to Game Pass. I'm just telling you.
No, it's not. But it could.
No, it's not.
It could.
And they better not.
Why?
Don't. Just don't.
What? Just 1 and 2.
They're ruining everything. Microsoft used to be a solid company, and now they're just so big that they can't feel their freaking toes.
But I'm gonna let you hold.
Blizzard is a good game.
Blizzard, yeah.
Blizzard is a good company. They make quality things.
They do.
Don't fudge it up,
There's some
man.
listeners that are probably disagreeing with you about Overwatch handling, but we're gonna leave that aside.
Overwatch 2 is a Microsoft problem, okay?
No, now it is a Microsoft problem. Yeah. All that is now. So anyway, yeah, we're going to dive more into that as we get into Microsoft. But yeah, Age of Mythology Retold, man, I am just like, I want to cry because I'm so like happy that they actually treated something from my childhood with care and respect and actually improved it in ways that make it better. And I'm like, like I'm just so happy. I can't explain it in words.
I'm sad for 2 reasons.
Okay, you're sad. Let's hear it.
David can't join in on a conversation about late 90s, early 2000s PC gaming.
Yeah. No, I was console only for that time period.
Yeah.
Secondly, his RTS still hasn't made a big comeback.
No, not yet.
But along with childhood memories,
yeah,
I do like the isometric top-down like action adventure games like Diablo, and Titan Quest 2 is supposed to come out next year. And if you haven't played Titan Quest 1, I have it on PC. I have a physical copy, and I have it on PlayStation.
Don't they have it on Switch as well?
I don't know.
Because I remember seeing the cover, I think, on Switch.
But aside from
wrong.
Diablo 1 and 2, which were gold, there was Titan Quest and Champions of Norath. And I will cry until my eyes bleed if they were to ever release one again, because Champions of Norath did it so dang well. And 1 and 2 on the PS2 were just gold
And these were like
games.
Diablo likes, but single player.
Yeah.
Dang.
I mean, you could have someone jump in and plug in another controller.
Oh, dude,
and
that's
multiplayer it, and it was just fantastic. And I champion this all the time on like Facebook and stuff. And someone finally told me that Sony doesn't actually own the rights to the EverQuest universe anymore, which is where that is set in. So it'll probably never come to fruition. But it is the most depressing thing I've ever heard when someone told me that, because
really
even if you were to, I'm pretty sure last time I looked online, Champions of NORAD 2 was like $300 to buy a PS2 version.
PS2? Jeez.
Yeah, that's how good the game is. Like it's a collector's item, and it is a really good game. So sad.
I'm gonna have to check that. So it was Titan Quest.
Titan Quest.
Because I've seen the cover on Switch. They re-released it for that, I think. But I could be totally wrong. Because you said you have it on PS4, right?
I have it on PS4 and PC.
So that's probably the one. They probably already said on Switch or something like that.
Who THQ? Remember they went under.
Yeah.
Okay, they were the owners of the IP, and then THQ Nordic bought them. Yeah, and it already had an expansion. And I think when they first bought them, they released a new expansion like relatively soon. And when they announced Titan Quest 2, they had announced another new expansion for this game that's like 15 years old.
Yeah, because they did that with
so good.
What was it? Kingdoms of Amalur. They re-released that. They own that too.
Yeah.
And they really re-released that and then did an expansion to it.
Yeah.
It's like, this is interesting. Okay. You're putting money into this, but all right.
Made me buy it again.
Yeah.
Totally worth my money.
Yeah.
It's like such a good game.
Yeah, it's interesting. But I think you bring up an interesting point, because the return of real time and all that kind of stuff. I know that Baldur's Gate isn't that way, but you bringing up Titan Quest reminds me of that because of the top down and the co-op.
I played Baldur's Gate 1 and 2.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah, they were good. Back on my very first like hodgepodge made PC. My friend's dad worked at a like a computer store. So he just had all these random parts, and I just pieced together a Frankenstein of a computer, and I slowly bought like a new graphics card back in the day and stuff. And
nice.
So,
Baldur's Gate was your jam.
Baldur's Gate was one of the few games that I had that I could also run on said hodgepodge computer, and it was a really good game.
Baldur's Gate, that series included the Dark Alliance games, right?
Yes, sir.
So yeah, I actually played Dark Alliance 2, I believe it was, on the PS2, and that was my jam for a little while. That was a good game.
Yeah. Then that was one of those isometric top-down action RPGs.
Yes, very Diablo style. But boy, was it fun.
Yeah. The best part about those and Baldur's Gate is they're set in the D&D universe, so
got that good old Eldritch lore.
Yep.
All that good stuff. I didn't know you played the